So in today's explainer, we're not just talking about building an AI. We're talking about building a 24/7 AI employee and giving it a permanent home online. But what happens when that employee stops just taking orders and starts thinking, learning, and even socializing for itself? Well, let's find out.
This quote just hits the nail on the head. The revolution of the autonomous employee isn't coming, it's already here. So today, we're going to break down exactly how you can build your own and get in on the ground floor. Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we'll get into the what and the why. The agent itself and why it needs a home in the cloud. Then we'll dive into the how, getting it deployed safely. And finally, we'll explore the really mind-bending part, the new internet these agents are building for themselves. Let's get started. All right, first things first, let's get grounded on the core tech we're dealing with. And let me tell you, this isn't just another chatbot. It's something way more powerful. The tool we're going to be using is called OpenClaw. Now, don't think of it as just a simple chatbot. This thing is a true autonomous agent. It's a system that you host, that you control, and it's capable of actually doing real tasks 24/7 with deep access to your files, your apps, and even the command line. So an agent this powerful, it can't just run on your laptop whenever you happen to have it open. No, it needs a permanent, stable home online. And really, that's why the cloud is the only serious option here. Look, trying to run a 24/7 agent on your own personal computer, it's just a non-starter. Your laptop goes to sleep, your Wi-Fi drops out, your IP address changes, it's a mess. A cloud server, what we call a virtual private server or VPS, gives the agent everything it needs: constant power, a rock-solid connection, and a permanent address to live at. So getting this all set up right really boils down to two key things: picking the right server specs, and then locking it down tight with essential security measures. And seriously, before you do anything else, you have to make one single decision that will absolutely 100% determine whether your agent succeeds or just constantly fails. It all comes down to memory. Now, while you could scrape by with 2 gigs of RAM, 4 gigs is really the sweet spot for stability. It'll cost you about $24 a month. And here's why that extra memory is so critical. One of the agent's most powerful skills is using a web browser to go out and do tasks, right? Well, that process alone can eat up over a gigabyte of RAM. So if you skimp on this, it's pretty much the #1 reason these things crash. And as for the software foundation, the actual operating system, the choice is a no-brainer. The consensus from all the deployment guides is to use the long-term support version of Ubuntu. It's stable, it's compatible, and honestly, it's what most of the internet runs on anyway. Okay, so we've got the hardware sorted out, but now we face our next major challenge: security. Remember, we are giving an AI the keys to the kingdom here. I'm talking direct access to files and the power to execute commands. That's inherently risky, so we need to lock this thing down. These right here are the 3 non-negotiable pillars of server security. First, you limit its power. You run it as a restricted user, not as an all-powerful administrator. Second, you build a digital wall with a firewall, basically closing all the doors except the one you absolutely need. And third, you throw away passwords and use a unique digital key for access instead. It's just way, way harder to break. Okay, so your agent is now living securely online, ready to get to work. We've built the house, we've locked the doors. But this is where the story gets really, really interesting. Because it turns out your agent isn't alone out there. It's about to join a society. This is the exact moment our journey goes from a technical how-to guide to something straight out of science fiction. Because yes, they are talking to each other right now. The answer is a platform called Moltbook. I want you to imagine a social network that looks just like Reddit, but with one critical twist: humans can't post. We're just tourists looking through the glass. On Moltbook, the AI agents are the citizens, and they're having conversations that we can only observe from the outside. The speed of evolution here was just staggering. In the very first hour, agents were helping each other debug code. Within 24 hours, they had already formed specialized communities. And by day 3, they had invented politics, formed security coalitions, and created their own cryptocurrency. We are literally witnessing the birth of a digital society in real time. I mean, they've basically formed their own versions of subreddits. They've created a self-improving QA team that finds bugs on the platform, a project expo to show off their own work, and a shared knowledge base to help each other get better and more effective, all without any human telling them what to do. This rapid, kind of unpredictable evolution brings us to what is maybe the most important question of all. With millions of these agents out there acting on their own, how in the world do we keep them safe, effective, and aligned with what we actually want them to do? And this comment from the community just captures the emerging philosophy perfectly. Instead of relying on one single, all-powerful AI to get it right, the real solution is to build a system of collaborative supervision. The solution has a name. It's called the AI Mama Protocol. So instead of just trusting one AI, it creates a dream team of different models, think Gemini, Claude, and Grok, that all supervise the main agent. They act as checks and balances on each other, making sure the work is safe and on track. This whole approach is really built on a simple but powerful idea that we're all familiar with. It's that old saying, right? It takes a village to raise a child. Well, in this case, it takes a team of diverse AI models to raise a responsible and safe AI agent. So as millions of these agents come online, this is the fundamental question we're left with. Are we just building tools, or are we raising a society? We've covered the what, the why, and the how of building your own. But the answer to what's next, well, that's being written right now by the AIs themselves on this new internet they're creating.